The Craveberry case study is one of our favorites, and I'm excited to share it with you here. Momentarily, you will see a less than stellar graph of some taste test data. I'll transform it using the 5 steps that we teach during our workshops. It's actually recorded at one of our workshops. Through this, you'll see how you can move from simply showing data to walking your audience through a data-driven story that inspires action.
All right, let's get one more of these Crave Berry yogurts. A long-standing favorite of mine, personally. So I bring this one along so that we can see the entire process one more time from start to finish. So this is a real example. This is a food manufacturing company here in the States that was getting ready to launch a new yogurt product. And they decided before going to market, they wanted to do one final round of taste testing. And the team that analyzed the taste test results said, oh, hey, wait, we actually think we should make some changes to this product before going to market. This was the graph they used to try to convince senior leadership that change was needed. How are we doing here? Not so great, right? So before we rip apart the graph, let's think back to lesson 1 and our who, what, and how in this scenario. So who, we got it down to a single person. It's the head of product development who was eventually going to be the one to say either, yes, you're right, we should slow down our go-to-market and make these changes, or nope, we're going to market as it is. What we needed to communicate to the head of product was what we had learned through the survey, and specifically a couple changes that the team thought would be relatively minor to make that would have major impact when it came to improving consumer sentiment of the product. The data they had on hand was the taste test data. It looked like this. So it asked 100 people how they felt along a number of dimensions of Craveberry yogurt. Things like thickness, creaminess, sweetness, size, amount of fruit. For each of those categories, people could tell us there was not enough, it was just about right, or there was too much. Notice your process taking in this tabular data. If you're like me, I'm reading, I'm scanning down columns, I'm trying to mentally hold on to big numbers and little numbers so I can mentally compare them to other big numbers and little numbers, a highly taxing cognitive process. Anything we can do to make these numbers more visual will make them more quickly accessible. Well, maybe not anything. How's the scatter plot do of creating a magical aha moment of understanding with our graph? No, let's move past that. Lines, do lines work for us here? No, we're imposing that visual connection between categories that makes no sense. Got categorical data, so I'm probably back to a bar chart. If I step back and think about what these represent, right, not enough, just about right, too much, together they add to 100%, so I probably should stack them. And if I want some more real estate to write those words on the x-axis in a legible fashion, I flip that on its side, and I'm very quickly right back to where we started. But we can still improve from here. Let's start by decluttering. Actually, let's start by continuing our right display. So we talked about ordering data, right? One of the considerations when you order is how are you going to progress through the story? So let's assume in this case we've already done that, and I've chosen to order, in this case, in order of descending, descending too much, which puts me roughly, though not monotonically, in order of increasing not enough. Next, we declutter. Take away the border and the grid lines. Thicken those bars. When I thicken the bars, I might be more inclined to notice the gradation and shadow. Each of these things on its own, totally minor. Challenge is we layer it all together and it just makes a heavier feeling graph than we need. Strip those things away. I'm going to take away the y-axis line and the tick marks go with it, drop my unnecessary trailing 0 from my x-axis labels. Now, I don't want my legend hanging out over there on the right like an afterthought. I want to use the Gestalt principle of proximity and that zigzagging Z we've talked about, orient the legend where my audience will hit it before they get to the data. While we use proximity, we can also think about making use of similarity. Make the data labels the same color as the data they describe. Speaking of color, how am I doing with my color here? Pretty bad, right? Just about right. The one good thing on the page is what color? Red, which feels just about wrong. So let's strip away the color. We could focus attention on a number of different aspects of this data. Maybe we want to have a conversation about where we don't have enough of the different dimensions going on. Or maybe there's something interesting happening where there's too much. Or maybe we just want to have a conversation about where things are going well. Any of these could be the right point of emphasis, depending on the story I want to tell. So when it comes to story, we want to think back to those lessons that we learned from Dorian, right? The power of words, repetition, and the narrative arc. So when it comes to words, we can put descriptive title, axis titles, a footnote at the bottom that has things like how many people did we ask, what did we ask, who responded, and so forth. Then I want to step out of the graph and consider how I can walk my audience through a story in the way that I want them to experience it. So I have two goals today. First is to create a common understanding of what we've learned through our analysis of the recent taste test study. And secondly, make a recommendation for some minor changes that we think will have major impact when it comes to improving consumer sentiment of the product. So first, just to set up for you what we're going to be looking at. We asked 100 people about different dimensions of Craveberry yogurt, things like thickness, amount of fruit, sweetness, and size. For each of these dimensions, they could tell us there is not enough, is just about right, or there was too much. Stick the data up there. Let's focus first on where things are going well. Sweetness and size, in particular, were deemed just about right a majority of the time, without any clear directionality one way or the other for improvement. So I want to focus on leaving those as close to we can as what they currently are. But there were also some areas of lesser content. In particular, more than half the respondents thought the product was too thick, had too much fruit, and not enough yogurt. So our recommendation is a simple one, which is dial down the amount of fruit, increase the amount of yogurt, which we anticipate will reduce the thickness of the overall product. Could walk my audience through something like that in a live presentation. For the thing that gets sent around as a reminder of what was discussed, I could have a final fully annotated slide or two. Notice in the final slide I moved away from orange and blue because when it was orange and blue plus all the relative intensity, it got a little crazy. This is still too crazy for the big screen, but works okay in a handout environment or on a computer screen. And as we saw with the back to school study, check out the impact of doing everything we've talked about here today. Understanding the context, choosing an appropriate display, identifying and eliminating clutter, drawing attention where we want it, and telling a story. So we're not simply showing data, rather we are making our data a pivotal point in an overarching